Hey y'all, so if you've ever wondered how do you pad your mannequin for your plus size, pregnant, or curvier clients, today I am going to show you exactly how to do it. This was requested in the comment section of my last YouTube tutorial, so let's get into it. Alright y'all, so in my last video, I was requested to do a tutorial on how to pad my mannequin. So this is my first time doing it for a pregnant client, but I've also done this for my plus size or more curvier clients as well. And y'all, it makes draping so much easier. So today I want to show y'all how you can do that. Now, when it comes to padding your mannequin, the most important things that you are going to need is one, pictures of your client from all angles. So you need to see what their body looks like from the side, the front, the back, all the angles. But you're also going to need some really detailed measurements. And then of course you're going to need a few things to pad the mannequin as well. So what I use is wrapping, or I was about to say wrapping paper. What I use is plastic wrap, and then I also use polyfill, which you can purchase from Walmart. Also, for my clients, if they are, let's say, like a little thicker or a lot thicker than my mannequin, I also use, I'm not sure exactly what it's called. It's like a polyfill type of wrap. So it's just a sheet or a roll. I'll try and actually insert a picture of it on here. That way it's easier for you to see. I already have that on this mannequin, so I won't be able to actually show you that. But those are the type of like fillings or stuffings that I use to add the padding to my mannequin. So next we're going to talk about measurements. So the measurements that we get are going to be super detailed. Now, if you notice that, let's say certain parts of your client's body is bigger than other parts, or say if they're really busty, or have really wide hips or a really large bottom, then you want to get more detailed measurements for that specifically. And then also you have to be really good at using your eye for the padding as well. Like I said, even though we're basing it off of measurements, we still are going to use their pictures to create the actual shape. So the measurements that I like to use, and I'll go through most of them. I'll even try and link like a measurement list or a measurement form in the description. That way y'all could use that as a reference. But the measurements that I like to get is shoulder to nipple, shoulder to waist, shoulder to underbust, waist to hip, waist to floor, waist, underbust, bust, upper bust, shoulder to shoulder, shoulder to waist going across the back, front hip, which is basically going across the pelvis, and then back hip, basically going from side seam to side seam. This measurement is a lot easier if your client has on pants that has side seams when she takes this measurement. But we're gonna do back hip from side seam to side seam. I think I said this already, but you also want to get full hip. And then I also, and those are just measurements for padding. I'll add the measurements that I use for my actual clients, the full list. I'll add that in the description. But that's what I need for padding. And then also, if she's really busty, you want to go ahead and get a front bust as well as a back bust. So the first thing I like to do is start by taking that polyfill type of wrap. I'll insert a picture of it again because I don't know the exact name right now, but I'll put the correct name on the screen. But you want to take that wrap, and if necessary, if your client is much bigger than your dress form, you want to go ahead and just wrap a few layers of that around your mannequin. I typically never cut it, but wrap that around your mannequin a few times. After that, and you want to wrap it around the area that needs the most inches added. So if your client is multiple inches or sizes bigger in both the lower body and the upper body, you want to have two pieces that you are going to wrap around both the top and bottom of the mannequin. Also, I want to mention it's much easier to start this off using the batting as the base for this, because starting off with the plastic wrap, it will move around a lot. But if you are not adding a lot of curve or hips or just extra inches to the dress form, then you don't need to start off with the batting. But you'll probably need to add a few pins into the plastic wrap if that's what you're starting off with, so it doesn't move or shift while padding. For our stomach, you don't want, when you pad your mannequin, for it to stay in really thick clumps, because we want this to be smooth. So the areas that are thicker, you want to like kind of thin them out. And since I know I want to make the stomach just a little bigger, I'm going to start by adding that there. If you also want to do the hips at the same time, you can. I typically work my way around doing body part by body part, but let's do hips as well. And right now, nothing needs to be perfect. We are just adding some of that stuffing there, and then we are going to adjust later. Alright, we just want to put a little something up in there. That's all. Alrighty. So now let's go ahead and put this. Okay. So now this is where we start to adjust. So I think this is 38. We're going to add about 3 to 4 inches of extra padding to this mannequin. Also, as you're padding this mannequin, you're going to want to continuously check to make sure that you are not adding too much padding, or to make sure it's not too small as well. Hey y'all, I know you're enjoying this tutorial and we're about to get right back into the video, but I wanted to take a moment to personally invite you to my couture draping course. I designed this course for the designers who already have a great foundation. You know how to cut, you know how to sew, you know how to create, but you are ready to take your designs to the next level and actually start creating some couture garments. You want to be able to create the things with volume and structure and all these different things. Now, in this course, we have different types of projects available. We have some that will show you how to drape a garment from start to finish, and then we also have some that are going to just focus on the techniques only. That way you can really get a good mix of everything you need. Normally, enrollment is $500, but if you're watching this video, you will be able to get this course for a discount. So at checkout, enter the code ESCTUTORIAL, and you'll be able to get this course for $350. And yes, we have payment plans available too. So if you're serious about becoming a better designer, you want to grow your craft, you want to see your skills improve, and you want to get results like my students who've been able to create garments like this just from being in my program for a matter of weeks, then go ahead, click the link in the description, and I can't wait to see what you create. Now, let's get back to the video. So once you have a nice amount of padding inside of the plastic wrap, you want to go ahead and start to break it up and thin out any places that may seem a little lumpy or thicker. You want it to smoothly transition from the mannequin's body to the padding. So thinning out our padding basically looks like you taking the parts that look lumpier and separating them with your fingers, pulling them apart, which takes away some of that fullness and will make it lay flatter. As you can see from my video, the more you do this, your padding will start to look a lot smoother. Another thing that you want to make sure that you're doing is that when you're padding this mannequin, that you're making it look as realistic to a human body as possible, which is why I mentioned earlier you want to have pictures of your client's body. Here's an example of what I mean. As you can see, I made this look very realistic to my client's body. Important things to pay attention to get it to look as realistic as possible is how the hips, the stomach, and the breast curve. Everyone's curves are not the exact same, clearly, so you want to account for that in your padding. Once you're done adding a few sections of padding, you want to go ahead and take your plastic wrap and wrap about 1 to 3 or I would say 2 to 3 layers of plastic wrap around your dress form. Now, when wrapping the mannequin, you want to make sure that the plastic wrap is angled in a way to where it really grips the body. So when you get to sections to where it seems like it's hard to get the plastic wrap to angle properly, what I do is twist the plastic wrap, and then I continue to pull the plastic wrap around the body, and that gives me the grip that I need. Now, each time you add more layers of plastic wrap, you could go in and add a little bit more padding underneath that plastic now that it's tight and secure, before adding more padding on top of that plastic. Once you're done adding a nice amount of padding and it looks smooth and you feel like you can't add any more, then you can go ahead and add some more layers of plastic to your dress form. This time, when you are adding the extra plastic wrap, you're going to be adding more padding in as well at the exact same time. Now, for the parts of the body that are the most curviest, it's super important to make sure you get really good grip. So I like to make sure I am pulling the plastic wrap right underneath any big curve, so like at the bottom of the butt or even at the bottom of the breast, and then pulling the plastic wrap in an upwards motion against that curve to really help create that curve shape. Now, as you add more and more layers of the plastic wrap over the padding, your body should start to smooth out more. Now, once you're finished molding the bottom half of the body, you should have something that looks close to this. So now moving on to the bust. Adding padding for the bust is still the same concept. I like to pad one breast at a time because I want each breast to be defined and curved, opposed to making the bust look flat or making both or opposed to there not being any indentation in between the center of the breast. I like to create it as if each bust has some sort of bra cup. So the two things that I do to help with that is, like I said, first molding and padding one breast at a time, but also trying to wrap the plastic in upwards motion around the breast at one at a time. And so when you pull the plastic wrap in an upwards motion across the shoulder, it gives you more space to be able to grip that breast and then also curve it more. So this second side, I padded incorrectly, so I'm not even going to explain what I did, but the example you just saw in the previous video is what your breast should look like when you finish padding them. So now once you've added that extra padding to the breast area, the hip area, the waist, basically those key points, even if you needed to add some to the underbust or upper bust, once those areas are done, now you just want to go in and fill in any extra padding in the stomach or back or any other area that needs it. Now, when doing this, you won't always need to pad the entire mannequin. Sometimes your client will only have a few measurements that are off, or maybe there's only one side of the body that extra weight or curve or padding needs to be added to. But even though I wasn't padding this for an actual client, I hope the concept was easy for you all to understand. But thank you for watching. We will be back with our draping tutorials next week. Make sure you follow, comment, subscribe, like, all the things, and I will see y'all next week. Bye, y'all.